Hi, this is Mr. Hunt, and today I'm going to review uh, selection. So, selection, or you might know also know them as if statements. Okay, so in selection, it's part of the AP Computer Science Principles pseudocode language. So you'll be expected to know how to recognize an if statement in the pseudocode language in text form and also in block form. Okay. So the keyword is you're looking at if in capital letters, and then inside of parentheses, there will be a condition. So when the condition is true, then a block of code inside of the curly braces will get executed. Okay. Curly braces, a block of code inside curly braces will be executed. Okay. In the block form, the if statement is one block. And then again, we have the keyword if, and then the condition, and then a block of statements that gets executed when the condition is true. If the condition is false, okay, then the block of code or block of statements is not executed. Pretty simple. Okay. There's also, so that's the if statement. Okay. So the code in block of statements is executed if the Boolean expression, the condition evaluates as true. No action is taken if the condition evaluates as false, just like I said before. And then you'll be also expected to recognize an if-else statement in text form and also in block form. Okay. So we have the same if keyword, and then we have the condition. Again, if the condition is true, okay, we're going to execute this block of code. If the condition is false, okay, if the condition is false, then then we'll jump to the else, and we will execute this second block of code or block of statements. And again, here, the if else is it's one big block. If the condition is true, then we will execute this block of code. If the condition is false, then we'll jump to the else and we'll execute this second block of code. Okay. The code in the first block of statements is executed if the Boolean expression, the condition, evaluates the true. Otherwise, if the condition is false, then the second block of code is executed, the else part. Okay. And then we also I have here the website is board.dan.onl. And again, it says here it says College Board, has nothing to do with the College Board. This is has nothing to do with the advanced placement of the College Board. Okay, but this website it's a pseudocode interpreter, so it allows us to type in pseudocode and execute. Okay, so we have an input. Okay, so we're getting input from the user. If the choice is equal to y, or the lowercase y, then we're going to display yes. If the choice is anything other than lowercase y, then it displays nothing. Okay. So I'm going to run the code, and I'm going to type, in this example, I'll type y for yes, and then I enter, and okay. So I can type y for yes, or it actually says n for no, but I could type any other character other than y. And then it prints yes here. Okay, we see the yes. I'm going to run the code again. Instead, I'm going to hit no, n for no, and enter y for yes. Okay. Enter y for, I'm sorry, doesn't make sense. I typed it twice, sorry. Enter y for yes or n for no. Okay. So here I'm going to type n for no, and I hit the enter button, and we see after this prompt, we see nothing. It doesn't print yes. Okay. So this if statement, depending on what the input is, okay. Also in this example, if I type in any other letter than Y, it will also print nothing. So, okay, it will print nothing. Okay. Again, if I hit Y for yes, then you see after this statement, enter Y for yes, or prompt enter Y for yes or N for no. Because I typed yes, it prints yes. Okay. Okay. Now after that, I'm going to ask another question. Enter Y for. Oops, I'm sorry. That doesn't make any sense. Typo. Sorry. Should say okay. Enter G for go or S for stop. Okay. And then I'm asking. This is the second question, right? So if the choice is G, then I display go. Okay. So now we have instead of an if statement, we have an if else statement. Okay. If the condition is true. Okay. Now any letter. So when we get to this input, so if I type any letter that's not G, then what's going to happen is we're going to jump down to else and execute stop. Okay. So here, okay. So this is so I'm going to run the code again. And then this is the yes or no questions. I'm going to type yes here. And now it's going to asking me to enter G for go or S for stop. So I'm going to type G for go, and it prints go. I run the code again, and I have to do the first if statement. Now I'm back down here, enter G for go. Now I'm going to type S for stop, and it prints stop. Okay. So if I enter G, it prints go. If I enter S or any other letter that's not G, then it's going to print stop. Okay. So this is our if else statement. Okay. Now here, there's no input for this. Basically, I'm showing an example of a nested if statement or nested selection. Okay. So we have two variables, num1 and num2. Num1 is assigned a value 5, and num2 was assigned a value 11. Okay. So we have a nested if statement or nested selection. If num1 is equal to 3, which is not, okay. Okay, so if this condition was true, then we would check what the value of num2 is, okay? And if num1 is equal to 3 and num1 is equal to 7, then it will display num1 and num2, okay? Now, so because num1 is not 3 and num2 is not 7, so this condition is not true, okay? So we never get to this part. So what happens is we jump to this else part, okay? And in the inside else, we have an if statement. If num2 is not equal to 7, then we'll display num1 and num2, okay? So here we displayed 5 and 11. The reason why we displayed 5 and 11 is because num1 was not equal to 3, so we jumped to this else, and then we checked another condition. Is num2 not equal to 7? So num2 is 11. Because this condition is true, then we displayed the num1 and num2, which are respectively 5 and 11. Okay. Okay, so let's say I change num1 to 3 and num2 to 7. Okay. So now in this situation, this condition would be true. Okay. Is num1 equal to 3? Because this condition is true, now we're going to enter the body of the if part, of the if else statement, and then we're going to check another condition: is num2 equal to 7? So okay, num1 is assigned to value 3, and num2 is assigned to value 7. So this condition is true. So then, because this condition is true, we're going to then jump into the body, and we're going to check for this condition. This condition is also true. Because both conditions are true, we're going to display 1 and 2. which is 3 and 7 respectively. Okay. So when we run the code, okay, so when we run the code, we print 3 and 7. Okay. So if we go back to original, I believe, if I remember correctly, it was num1 was 5 and num2 was 11, right? So when we run the code again, okay, it prints 5 and 11. Okay. 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 So to wrap it up, um, so I showed you what an if statement is. If the condition is true, then we execute whatever is in the body of execute the body of statements or block of code. If the condition is not true, if the condition is false, then the block of code does not get executed. And then we also have an if else statement, which is one whole block, right? It's one structure. So if the condition is true, then we execute the first block of code. If the condition is false, then we jump to the else, and then we execute the second block of code. Also, we can have a nested if statement. Okay, so we can have an if statement inside of another if statement. Okay, so if this condition is true, then we're going to jump into the body of into the first block of code, and then we have another if statement. So if the second condition is true, then we're going to execute the body of the block of code here. Excuse me. If this condition is false, then we're going to jump to the else. And the second block of code, or the second body of statements, is another if statement. So if this condition is false, then we're going to jump to the else. And then inside the body, we have another if statement, so we're going to check another condition. If this condition is true, then we will execute the body of the if statement. If the condition is false, then we will not execute. Okay. Okay, thank you very much. Today we did selection, also known as if statements, and if else statements.